I'll go ahead and call the May 15, 2018 County Board of Supervisors session to order. First items on the agenda are the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Supervisor Locke. Please all rise.
We ask for your presence to be with us as we meet tonight. Inspire our thoughts, discussions, and ideas as we seek to work together. Amen.
Amen. Pardon? Thank you, Supervisor Locke. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of this evening's agenda. I'll call on Supervisor Robel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for the approval of this evening's agenda with one change. Yeah, Resolution 33 will be number 1 on the agenda, 33052018.
So there's a motion with that one change, a motion and a second. So to adopt the agenda with resolution number 33 being first on the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So moving on down to that time on the agenda when we allow anyone from the public to speak on anything on the agenda tonight or anything under the jurisdiction of county government. Is there anyone who wishes to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, if you could just please give your name and your address for the record.
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and distinguished members of the board. My name is Joe Yana. I reside at 5740 Main Street in the town of Winnebago County in the great village of Butimore. And I'm here to speak tonight in favor of Resolution 33-52018. It seems that in 1850 there was a injustice done to the village of Butimore. Village of Butimore was originally the county seat in Winnebago County by virtue of a vote of a commission appointed by the Wisconsin Territorial Legislature to find and locate the county seat. The county seat was located in 1845 in Butimore in section 24 of Township 19 North, range 15 East. Subsequently, the state legislature, when it formed Wisconsin as a state, overrode that decision without the knowledge and consent of the electors in Butimore. Subsequently, a referendum was held on April 1st, 1850, to change the county seat back to Butimore. Unfortunately for Butimore, that lost, but we have the matter of some uncounted votes, you see, in the towns of Algoma, Utica, and Neenah, where the clerk never certified the votes. So we have a problem here, so we need a resolution for you to name us as a county seat for at least one day so we can clarify this problem and take whatever action is necessary. And we do cordially invite all the supervisors to attend and to take whatever official action is necessary to correct this wrong, this evil. And we invite you on August 11th, 2018, to the village of Butimore in the Lions Park, where we will have a celebration of the bicentennial of the founding of the trading post of Butimore in 1818 by Jacques Parlier and Augustin Greenough, the founders of the village as well. So we invite you to those festivities with a parade at about 10 o'clock, and we will have the festivities with hopefully a county board meeting and reenactment of a speech that was made in 1936, rededication of the county seat marker, among other things, and festivities and music and all kinds of chicanery, as well as some actual fur traders who we have transported by time machine from 1818 to 2018. They will be here. So we cordially invite you there. And if I can deviate just 1 second for something slightly off the agenda, but having to do with Butimore, I wanted to advise that we have a distinguished member of our community, George Contos, who is one of the remaining surviving World War II veterans, served honorably and courageously in the South Pacific during World War II. He's going on the Vets Roll honor trip starting Sunday of this week and coming back. We're going to have a celebration for him on Thursday, the 24th. You're cordially invited to that. We'll have a little reception for him. George, if you remember, spent a lot of time in this room when it was Circuit Court Branch 2. You sat where Ms. Fitzgerald is sitting right now as your finance director, as the bailiff for Circuit Court Branch 2 for, I would have to guess, about 28 years. So please come out and honor this great American, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on anything on the agenda or any other item under the jurisdiction of the county?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bill Rowe. I reside at 1555 Lion Drive in Neenah. I'd like to direct my comments to the supervisor specifically. First of all, to the supervisors that have been re-elected, congratulations. To the new supervisors, and I understand there's 9 of you, I don't know if they're all here tonight, I congratulate you. I've met some of you. I hope to meet the rest of you soon. The reason for my comments tonight are, you know that we have meetings. You have meetings the 3rd Tuesday of every month, and that's an obligation that you have, and I'm glad to see most of you here. You also have committee appointments, and you learn a lot at those committee meetings. I would challenge you that you not only go to these meetings, the monthly board meeting and the committee meetings, but think about what's going on around you. Ask questions. Think outside the box. Don't accept everything that's told to you. Ask a lot of questions. The reason I say this, in the last 10 days, 3 topics have come to my attention. The first one, I'm sure we all experienced tonight when we got here, was going through the security system. 4 years ago, that was a hotly debated issue. At the time, I was on Judiciary and Public Safety Committee meeting, Judiciary and Public Safety Committee, where I learned that it was the responsibility of the county sheriff to enforce security at the courthouse. We were told at that time that that was going to be the entrance. I don't know how many of you might not be aware of it, but there's a tunnel that comes from the Orrin King building into this building. There were several tours, there was a lot of discussion. Should that tunnel be open? The sheriff made the decision, no, it would not be open. At the time, I was also on Facilities and Property Management. The sheriff came to those meetings and assured us all there was going to be one entrance. On extremely rare occasions, they may allow the DA or one of his assistants to use that access, the tunnel access. I was also fortunate to be on Personnel and Finance, and the sheriff told us there that there would be one entrance. Because I was chairman of Facilities and Property Management, at the time I was also on Courthouse Security Committee, where the sheriff also told us there would be one entrance. That was a $1.4 million addition. And I know that some of you here and some of you and some people that didn't run again or got beat voted for it because there was going to be one entrance. I learned a few days ago that apparently there is a litany of people, a list of people that are now accessing that tunnel. It's my understanding that on Monday, on the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee agenda, this topic will be addressed. I would urge and invite all of you and anybody at home listening that has a concern one way or the other to come to that meeting at 9 o'clock Monday morning. The second topic I'd like to talk about, again, that came to my attention within the last 10 days is contracts. I will go back about 4 years when I asked a question of a department head for a copy of a contract. Or was there a contract? The answer was yes, there was. I asked for a copy of it through the Freedom of Information Act. That department head went to one of his employees and asked that a contract be drawn up because there wasn't a contract. And once it was drawn up, give it to him, he'd sign it, predate it, and email it to Bill Rowe. Obviously, I found out about it. The reason I mention this, not because of the history, but I asked a few days ago for a contract. There was some delay. I finally got a contract. Terms of the contract, I won't go into all of them, except for the fact that it was effective January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018, and it was signed on May 10th after I asked for it. Now, if any of you ask for that contract, you'll get it and think nothing of it, except look and see. There are no dates when it was signed. But I'm here to tell you it was signed at 1:30 in the afternoon on May 10th. Things like this are just wrong. The last topic that came to my attention is the airport. Most of you know that that's been a topic for almost 4 years now. Hadn't been, but is now. Last November, this body voted 29-2 to demolish the existing terminal and move the airport staff into the west wing. That was in lieu of building a $5.5 million Taj Mahal. Nothing has been done since November. It's almost 6 months. About a week ago at the facilities meeting, I asked the facilities director what has happened in the last 30 days toward demolishing the building. He said, I can't talk to you about that. I can't talk to you about that? No. He says, you'll have to talk to the county executive. I can't talk to you. I can't answer any questions. Folks, these things should not continue. That's why I ask you to be diligent in what you're doing. Listen to what's happening. Listen to what's going on around you. There were 3 people that were in charge of this not in charge, were in favor of this $5.5 million Taj Mahal, the new terminal building. That was the airport director, the chairman of the aviation committee, and the county executive. The airport director isn't here anymore. The aviation committee chair has been replaced. And I suggest to you that perhaps after the next election, the county executive may be looking for a new job. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on any item on the agenda tonight or anything under county jurisdiction? So one more time, is there anyone else who wishes to speak on any item on the agenda or any issue under county jurisdiction? Okay, then I will close that portion of the meeting. Supervisor Powers, you had a comment in regards to?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I was questioning about the honor flight gentleman who is going to be taking the honor flight on this coming Sunday, and the party for him would be Thursday, March 24th, and the time and place, I didn't catch that.
For folks that can't fly for one reason or another, it's a 3-day bus trip. The same thing, it's honored veterans. I'm sorry, I forgot to give you the time and date. It's the 24th of May at 5 p.m. at the Butamore Lions Club, which is 5068 Washington Street in the village of Butamore. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Supervisor Powers. Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, which is correspondence, which would include a notice of claims, resolutions from other counties, and zoning petitions. I'll call on the county clerk.
Yes, we have a notice of claim from Progressive Insurance representing the insured Heather Eskelovich for damage to her vehicle caused when she struck a concrete sign support here at near the courthouse on January 22nd. That is referred to the Personnel and Finance Committee. Resolutions from other counties as listed on your agenda are from Burnett County in regards to creating a nonpartisan procedure for the preparation of legislative and congressional redistricting plans. The other is from Burnett County in support of an increased public defender access and pay, and Door County supporting a constitutional amendment to allow limits on campaign contributions and conducting a non-binding statewide referendum. And all three of those would be referred to the Legislative Committee. There's one petition for zoning that comes from the Springbrook Sportsman's Club Incorporated in the town of Amro, and they're requesting a rezoning to A2 for a shooting range, and that is referred to the Planning and Zoning Committee.
Thank you, Clerk Hertmer. Next item on the agenda is reports from committees, commissions, and boards. I'll call on Supervisor Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report is from the 8RC Committee. The Winnebago, Outagamie, Calumet, Wapaka 8RCs are having an event to celebrate World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, building strong support for elders with a Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schemill. The event will take place on Wednesday, June 13th, at 2018, from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Thompson Center on Lourdes Street and Drive in Appleton, Wisconsin. And the special guest will be, and a key guest, I guess, is Paul Greenwood, who is a former San Diego County prosecutor and Elder Rights Advocacy Hall of Fame inductee. And I guess what I understand from the 8RC committee, if there's enough support that the Oshkosh Senior Center and the Menasha Senior Center may have bus rides to the event. The second event I'd like to promote for the second time in the last couple of months is the second annual Winnebago County Wheelchair Wash. It will be held on Friday, June 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be held at the Oshkosh North High School in the west parking lot, 1100 West Smith Avenue. If you want to participate and help in any shape, way, or form, we have such people as Representative Gordon Hinch and Representative Amanda Stuck, plus our own county executive willing to help this event. We'll help wash wheelchairs and inspect them. We'd be grateful. Also, our own Larry Launschlager is to be cooking the food that day. That would be help. But I guess the main thing I would like to stress is to get the word out about this event. It's a free event. It's for very much needed, as we found out last year, that people from wheelchairs, some who came and didn't have their wheelchair washed and expected to see if they needed to be fixing for many, many years. Again, if anyone wants a poster, I can email them a poster, and you can run them off and put them off around. I think it's a great event. We've got compliments from before, and for those who didn't hear from the last time I spoke of this, we are planning a second Winnebago County Wheelchair Wash at Bergstrom's in Neenah. We don't know if it's September 15th or September 26th on the Saturday. So please, I would encourage you to get out the word. If you cannot help with this event. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Norton. Next is Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As chairman of the Emergency Management Committee, I'd like to report an emergency management training exercise called Dark Sky is taking place today, May 15th, Wednesday, May 16th, and Thursday, May 17th, to simulate a mass power outage. Activities extend to Brown, Calumet, Fond du Lac, Milwaukee, Outagamie, and Winnebago counties. The exercise is intended to test the ability of emergency responders and private utilities to respond to a long-term power outage across the state. The exercise involves the Alliant energy facility in Fond du Lac that serves as a National Guard training site. National Guard troops will go door to door at homes in Amro as they would in a real crisis. A simulated Red Cross emergency shelter will operate at Sunnyview Expo Center, and an operations room will be activated in Winnebago County Law Enforcement Center. I would also like to report that on Thursday, May 3rd, I attended a Wisconsin Counties Association Juvenile Corrections Forum in Wisconsin Rapids. State Representative Michael Schra, Evan Goyke provided a legislative history of the effort to close Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake juvenile reformatories and to decentralize secure facilities to the counties. On the local level, Fond du Lac County has taken the lead to volunteer hosting a regional facility for not yet established members to participate. Organization, rights and duties, and financial risk-sharing needs need to be sorted out. This effort is reminiscent of the establishment of the Lakeland Care District, which many returning supervisors can recall. Our Human Services Director, Bill Topel, attended that forum and is an enthusiastic advocate of this process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Eisen. Next speaker, Vice Chairman Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There will be a legislative meeting at the end of this month, so any of you that are chairman of the committees that are on, those of you that are not committees and new members, we usually have it out to James P. Coughlin. The state and federal legislative or their guests are there to go ahead and speak to us. It's a good time if you have any topics you'd like to be brought up, but when it comes to voting or whatever, it's just the committees that are on the list. So again, it'll be the last Monday this month out at the James P. Coughlin. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Egan. So that concludes, we have one more, Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Egan, isn't the last Monday Memorial Day?
Oh, you're correct. I asked Sue before because I couldn't remember the date. 21st. 21st, we'll have it on the 21st. Thank you.
We have a Judiciary Committee meeting.
Are you all ready that day? You don't have. We had one thing that was brought up. I don't know if that can be carried over or not. Can that be carried over? We had one supervisor that definitely needed something. Okay, I apologize, and we'll cancel that meeting because one supervisor had something very important, and he just said it could be carried over till the next month. So as long as you have a different one, we'll cancel that, then we won't have one until the following month. Sorry about that. All that you just heard me say, wait for next month.
Thank you for that clarification, Supervisor Wingren. Okay, seeing no other supervisors, we'll close the reports from the committees, commissions, and boards and move on to the approval of the proceedings from April 17th, 2018 organizational meeting, as well as the April 24th, 2018 county board meeting. There was a motion to approve. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion, changes? Then we'll do by a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So moving on down next to the county executive's reports. Executive Harris?
It's my custom to point out to the board one or more items on the agenda that I think warrant special attention. And there's a resolution on the agenda tonight that I think needs some special discussion. It's 034-052018, near the end of your agenda. Now, this resolution was actually something I was working with Tom Snyder on with the expectation that it would go first to the Veteran Service Commission and then on to the Legislative Committee. And Tom may yet decide to do that. But when I asked John Bodner to proof a resolution for me, he misunderstood and put it on this agenda. And I didn't realize it was on there until it was too late to pull it. But I did have the clerk put on each of your desks a chart that looks like this, that I want to call your attention to, because you need almost to know this data to understand what that resolution is about. So you should have one that was in the papers handed out to you tonight that looks like that. And I'm going to refer you to the last page of it. And on that last page, the rows across are the various counties. And you'll see that Winnebago County, near the very end, received $26,424 of benefits that were passing through directly to veterans from Wisconsin's Department of Veterans Affairs. And where this concern comes from is the dramatic drop in the dollar amounts available for benefits to veterans from the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, and more specifically, the Veterans Trust Fund. If you look back in prior years, you can see as recently as 2007, it was over $57 million. By 2011, that had dropped to $3.3 million. And again, in 2017, it was down to about $280,000. If you look through the list, you'll see that in many counties, no veterans received any benefits through the through the Veterans Trust Fund within the WDVA and through their veteran service organization. And I don't know where the money that the WDVA has for the trust fund is going. I do know that several years ago they ended the home loan, the home equity loan, the personal loan programs because they were difficult to administer when interest rates were very low. But it was that very interest income on those loan programs that funded all our state veteran benefits. So when they ended all the loan programs, as that loan portfolio ran off, it cut off the revenue to the Veterans Trust Fund. Now, a couple years ago, I think it was December of, perhaps it was 2016, they moved $9 million out of the reserves of King Nursing Home. It's a nursing home for veterans. And then in the last state budget, they moved another $13 million in each year of the two-year biennium into this trust fund. And my concern is that our Veteran Service Office is not able to get any significant amount of benefits for veterans from this trust fund now. Yet the state legislature moved, for instance, 2017, if they moved $13 million into the trust fund, and only $280,000 are coming out of the trust fund to be benefits directly to veterans, that's only about 2% of the money. Now, I don't doubt that the money's going to other good places. The counties, between all 72 counties, we probably get close to $1 million in grants to help operate the veteran service offices. But I cannot piece together where most of the money goes from the Veterans Trust Fund that's being moved from King Nursing Home. And I have a concern as to whether it makes sense to take the reserves from a nursing home that we're going to need for these veterans eventually to move into the trust fund in the first place. But if you're going to do that, one would expect it's going to come out as benefits. And we don't know where the money's going. So all this resolution is doing is asking the state to call for an audit of the Veterans Trust Fund so we can see what monies are flowing into it and where they're going. I have to tell you that for 2 years I've been asking that question and not been able to get any sort of answer at all. So I would hope if this comes to the floor, I would hope that you would at least support a resolution to have them look into where the money's going, get an audit done. If it is pulled, that's only so it can go through the original intended channels, work its way through the Veterans Service Commission, and then through the Legislative Committee, and then it would eventually come back to you. I also have a large number of appointments tonight, and I want to remind the board that many of the appointments I make are appointments for periods of time. So not everybody on a particular board comes up at once. So there's a lot of times that I'll be appointing one person to a board of 4 or 5 people, and that's because there's just one term that's come up for renewal. So I've got 3 appointments to the AVCAP Board of Directors. And in fact, the AVCAP Board is actually shrinking by 1 member. So I was unable to reappoint one of our board members to AVCAP. And Larry Lautenschlager volunteered not to be put back on the AVCAP Board. So the 3 appointments are Susan Locke, Mike Norton, and Harold Singstock.
There's a motion and a second. We'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I also have 2 appointments to East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, Bob Schmeichel and Ken Roble.
There's a motion and a second. Once again, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
It's also time to reappoint one of the 2 members on the East Wisconsin Counties Railroad Consortium, and it's time for Joel Rasmussen to be reappointed.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I have a new appointment to the Industrial Development Board, and that's Jim Wise.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I have 2 appointments to the UW Fox Valley Board of Trustees, and I want to point out there actually is also an alternate, and I have not made a decision on that position yet. But the 2 appointees are Steve Binder and Tom Schneider.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I have an appointment to the Winnebago County Housing Authority. It's Rebecca Hackett.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
And I also have an appointment to the Winnefox Library System Board of Trustees, and that's Deanne Rangsdorf.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I have a comment from Supervisor Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure those of you who have been on the board for a while recognize that name. Diane is the daughter of Harvey Rengsdorf, who sat in this very chair for a number of years. She's a friend of mine, and she's carrying on the legacy. Harvey's picture is in the Winneconne Library. He also spent some time on the Winnefox board, and she will be good at what she's doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Snyder. Anything further, Executive Harris?
Thank you.
Thank you. So that closes the county executive report. So moving on down to the county board chairman report. First, Supervisor Finch did ask to be excused tonight. Second of all, just wanted to quickly report in regards to the county board tour that occurred yesterday. Certainly wanted to thank all the supervisors that attended. We had a very, very good attendance. I think it was approximately 28 of the supervisors that were there. We had 1 department head as well, so that was wonderful to see. Also want to thank all the departments who organized and assisted in the different areas that we toured yesterday. It was wonderful. Particularly want to thank Public Health for their understanding with the adjustment in the schedule. They provided some information afterward, and we'll certainly get them on in a future tour. And lastly, want to profoundly thank the county clerk's office for all their efforts in regards to the organization of this county board tour. Simply cannot be done without them. So thank you to all of you. And then just the last thing, wanted to let you know, and this is on behalf of Supervisor Eisen, who was kind enough to remind me that this week is Police Week. So we certainly want to honor and recognize the police this week. And it actually goes back to 1962. President Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th, today, as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which that date falls as Police Week. So in honor and recognition of the police, and in honor and recognition of those who have fallen in the line of duty, what I'd ask is for a moment of silence on their behalf. If you could all join me and bow our heads for a moment of silence. Thank you. And that concludes the chairman's report. So moving on down, we have two presentations tonight. The first one is the presentation of the 2018 Winnebago County Scholarships. For that, I'll go ahead and step down and speak at the lectern. So tonight, I have the distinct honor and privilege, along with you all in the county board, to present the 2018 Winnebago County Scholarships. And in a moment, I'll ask the recipients to come forward and stand at the right so that they can receive their scholarship, a certificate, a check, as well as a book on the history of Winnebago County. But for those of you who may not know some of the background in regards to the County Scholarship Program, it actually goes back approximately 15 years. And it was actually a supervisor who's on this board, Supervisor Finch, who came up with the idea for this scholarship program. So over the ensuing 15 years, each year this county has set aside $9,000, $1,000 apiece, for 9 high school students throughout our county to recognize them for their scholarship, their leadership, to promote awareness of county government and civic engagement. So tonight we have the opportunity to recognize those 9 individuals here tonight. So with that, I would like to ask the scholarship recipients who are here tonight, there are 8 of them, one could not make it tonight, but there are 8 of them here tonight. If you could please step forward, and I'd ask you to come right to the right, and if you could come, make a line, and I will announce each of you individually. And then what I'll do is, after I've announced each of them individually, presented them with their certificate, their check, and their book, and I would ask if you could please have a seat, stand on the right. After we've had an opportunity to recognize all 9 of them, what I'd ask is that each of them, once we've recognized them, to step to this lectern, give them an opportunity to once again state their name, the high school they're from, the college they plan to attend, as well as their major, if they have one at this time. And it's okay if you don't, because I changed my major before I even stepped on campus. So, and it worked out just fine for me. So with that, we'll go ahead and announce the first recipient, which is Naya Karner. Naya, if you could step forward.
Hi, my name is Naya Karner. Thank you to the County Board for your generosity. I really appreciate the scholarship. I'll be attending St. Norbert College next year in De Pere, and I'm going to be majoring in biology. I'm from Oshkosh North High School. Thank you.
Now, the next recipient is Carcer Kraus from Lourdes Academy. However, he was not able to make it tonight, so we'll certainly make certain that he receives his check, book, and a certificate. Next recipient is Evan Kubiak from Neenah High School. Evan, if you could step up.
Hello, I am Evan Kubiak from Neenah High School. I am attending Butler University, and I plan to be studying finance. Thank you.
The next recipient is Adam Mcevoy from Oshkosh North High School. Adam?
I'm Adam Mcevoy from Oshkosh North High School. I will be attending UW-Madison this coming fall, and I am majoring in computer engineering.
I like Adam already because that's where I attended school as well. The next recipient is Joshua Poirier. Poirier? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Joshua Poyer. I will be attending University of Minnesota at Twin Cities next year for a degree in architecture, and I am from Oshkosh West. Thank you.
The next recipient is Peyton Ron from Amro High School.
I'm Peyton Ron. First of all, thank you all so much for the opportunity to be here tonight and receive this scholarship. I attend Amro High School, and next year I'll be attending Ripon College to study pre-law.
The next recipient is Benjamin Schlichting from Oshkosh North High School.
My name is Ben Schlichting, and I go to Oshkosh North High School. I will be attending UW Stevens Point to major in history and Broadfield social science and become a social studies teacher.
The next recipient is Isabelle Tobin from Lourdes Academy.
Hello, my name is Isabelle Tobin. Thank you again for selecting me for this scholarship. I currently attend Lourdes High School, and I plan on attending Marquette next year, Marquette University, and I will be majoring in accounting or finance, specifically in forensic accounting or international business. Thank you again.
And our final recipient tonight is Thomas Urban from Oshkosh North High School.
Hi there. First of all, I would like to thank you guys, the county board, for being able to accept this scholarship. This is a phenomenal opportunity. I'm Thomas Urban. I went to Oshkosh North High School, and I'll be going to the University of Wisconsin-Madison next year to study electrical engineering. Thank you.
Well, congratulations to all you once again. Best luck over the next 4 years. If we could give one final big round of applause for all right, class dismissed. You can be seated. Thank you all. Okay, we have one other presentation tonight, and that is the presentation of design and costs related to building a 16-bed short-term crisis center CBRF. And for that, we will have our Director of Facilities, Mike Elder, representatives from the Bolt Company, as well as Dr. Topol, our Director of Human Services. Please, go right ahead.
Okay, all right. right, thank you very much. My name is Roger Spigardis. I'm a senior project manager for Bolt Technical Services. Right behind me is Eric Ballman. He is the architect also for Bolt Technical Services. Basically, just a quick little agenda here before we kind of continue on with the slides, what we're going to be going through. Brief introduction. Bill will be Bill Topo from Winnebago County, be working on that. We'll be presenting that. Site recommendation, schematic design, project costs, project schedule, and then at the end, if you don't mind, this is a presentation here, if you don't mind, at the end to wait for all of your questions. I'm going to hand this off to Bill.
Okay, well, tonight we're going to be covering the project, and what I wanted to do is just a couple of housekeeping things before we started. First of all, I know there are new board members here tonight. Didn't hear anything about this project last year, but this project, this capital improvement project, started last year. I think it was late summer when this board decided to go ahead with the design and cost estimate phase of our 16-bed crisis facility project. At that time, we did not have any of the plans that we had tonight, so you're going to be seeing the site that was selected and also schematics of the proposed building, and we'll talk about whatever questions you have tonight. I want to remind you that you have a month to also get a hold of myself or Mike Elder or Roger or Eric to talk about any questions that we don't answer for you tonight. And then a month from tonight or so at the next county board meeting will be the time we'll offer a resolution to you about approving the project, and then you will be deciding on that next month. Two things, we handed out a copy of this presentation, so you have it in front of you. In case it's a little hard to see, go ahead and follow along if you'd like to. The other one was a large document, and the reason it is so large is because if we would have printed it on a regular sheet of paper, you would not be able to read it. So this is actually a financial study that was done last year for the project, where we went over our revenues and expenses for projecting how long it might take for us to start to show recoupment of the project once it's approved. Our finance director at that time wanted a 10-year payback on the loan, which is still in this document, and also when does our revenues start to exceed our expenditures. It's actually year 16. We hope that this project will last 50 years plus, so we're very positive that it's going to be a win for the county. So with that, I just want to give you a little bit of history of the current situation that we have. The current situation is that we have two locations. Those locations are not owned by the county. They are rented from the Housing Authority. Each of those buildings are 20-plus years old. And we also know that our leases are coming to an end. We had a 20-year lease on both properties. They will be ending May of 2020. We will need to negotiate with either the Housing Authority, or if the Housing Authority sells those buildings, we will need to negotiate further on rents if we continue in those two properties. So currently, we have two 8-bed crisis centers, and a little bit of history again is why we're doing this is Wisconsin statute 51.42 says that we as a county need to provide for the emergency medical needs for people who have mental health crises. So we set up about 20 years ago these two facilities that provide an alternative to sending folks who have mental health crisis to the hospital. By sending someone to the hospital, and if we have to pay for an uninsured or underinsured individual, it could cost upwards of $1,000 a day for that individual in the hospital. With our two facilities, our two 8-beds currently, we serve those folks at around $300 a day. So it's quite a savings. And what we propose to do is, rather than rent, that we build a 16-bed facility that within 16 years we will have paid for, and our revenues will start to exceed our expenses at that point. And we will have a building that is Winnebago County's, hopefully, that will last 50, maybe even 100 years, who knows. And you're going to see that proposal tonight. I'm going to show you quickly the two facilities that we currently have. They are older facilities. They were not designed well for crisis service. They have a lot of corners where we can't see individuals that might be in our facility. We want to have a facility where we have easy access and are able to monitor our clients that are there. We want to have some efficiencies in staff and food and transportation costs, and by having one facility really greatly helps us with that. So let me show you quickly the two facilities. This one, I'm sorry about the shadows there, but one facility is called Towards Tomorrow. It was originally, I believe, a church-type facility that was converted into more or less an assisted living center, and then we purchased it and made it into a 16-bed crisis facility. It is quite old. It has problems with roof and some issues in the basement as well. Don't really want to get into too many details about that, but it's not an ideal situation for us. That's one of the 8 beds. The other one is this one, Summit House, and Summit House is a little bit newer, and it's fits our needs a little bit better, but again, we're not certain what's going to happen after the leases end in 2020, and we're not certain that the Housing Authority, who currently owns them, are necessarily going to keep those facilities. Should they sell them, we hope that they would honor our leases through 2020, but after that, I'm not certain what's going to happen. So things are kind of coming together where we really need to get serious about thinking, do we want to convert these 2 8-bed facilities, which we don't own, into one 16-bed facility that we will own and will operate. In both cases, our current county staff man them, so there won't be any additional staffing. We have our own county staff now in those 2 8-bed facilities. We will be getting some efficiencies by combining 2 into 1. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Eric. Oops, sorry. There we go. So we turn it over to Eric, and he will explain, and again, you can kind of follow along as we go, and questions at the end.
Thank you, Bill. My name is Eric Baumann. I'm an architect with the Bolt Company, and I'm just going to give a little overview on the site that was selected and a little bit on the site selection process and some of the reasons why this particular site was selected, some of the benefits and disadvantages of the site. So just to give you a high-level overview of the region here, you can see if let's see if the pointer works. So our site location is right here. It's on the north side of Oshkosh, off of Butler Avenue. And then zooming in a bit here, we can see more specifically here where our site is located. Again, it's on the east side of Butler Avenue right here, so it's south of the Coughlin Center, the DNR building right here, and it's north of Parkview Health Center right here, and then over to the west is this the community park. Sunnyview Road is to the north, and then Butler Avenue again. So just that to give you your bearings. Some of the reasons why this particular site was selected, we did look at a number of different sites, and this was the best site that was selected. And the key considerations were a lot of the utilities, the existing utilities, are available to serve this facility. They're already in place. So things such as the stormwater retention can be handled directly on the site. The storm sewer is available. It's close by. Same thing with sanitary sewer to be able to serve this site. The water main, communication lines, fiber optic, overhead power, those are also all located on Butler Avenue and can be utilized for the new facility. A couple other items that were considered are the wetlands. Wetlands are not an issue on this site. On other sites, they were. The site is relatively flat and minimal earthwork would be required. This is county-owned land. The size of the site is adequate to accommodate the full project scope. It's approximately 300 feet by 300 feet. There's ample green space. It's aesthetically pleasing and it's in a quiet neighborhood, which would help promote healing and good vehicular access from multiple directions. The very few disadvantages to this, and they're minor. The sanitary sewer, excuse me, and the gas service lines are just on the other side of the street, so there would be a little bit of underground across a road work that would be required. And then the site itself has some gradual slope, but and there'd be minimal fill to bring the site up to grade. Here's another zoomed in view of the site, and I am going to turn it over to Roger, who's going to talk about the schematic design of the plans.
Okay, thank you. Basically, what I'm going to talk about here is a proposed site plan. Kind of continue on, as Eric had said, this is a blown-up view of the site. The site itself is about 300 foot square. Remember also, kind of get your bearings, if you kind of go back here a little bit when Eric was looking at this, the north is going up, and now looking, I rotated this project 90 degrees. So right now, north is kind of going to your left to kind of get your bearings here a little bit. As Eric had said, Parkview Health Center is off to the south, which is basically to the right of the project. The old Winnebago County Homestead is just to the north, and keep on continuing north is the DNR Center and the Sunnyview Fairgrounds. So basically, this is going to be looking at the projected layout of the site. We have a new facility. It's a V-shaped facility. It's about 11,000 square feet. We have a circular driveway that is coming in here. We're going to be accommodating about 12 parking stalls, including which also includes another handicap parking stall in here. The garage that we have is off to the right. As if you guys are familiar with the area, we have quite a few woods that is off to the east side, so that is very pleasing with that. And so this is actually very nice site that we're going to have. There's if you go back to this plan, you will see that there is currently an unused, I want to call it drive trails right now that are in poor condition and they're not being really used at this time. Continuing on, unfortunately, both the residence rooms, residence wings are pretty much exactly the same. We have two wings going on here. We have wing A that is going to be on the left side here. We have wing B that is going to be on the right side. We have administrative staff offices that are off to the lower left-hand side. And we also have a covered carport that will provide a secure entrance for any clients that are coming in. We also have our main entrance, obviously right dead center. We have an elevator that is going down to the basement, which I'll describe in a second here. Again, as I had mentioned to you before, we have a garage that is off on the lower right-hand side. If you looked at the office area, the general office, which is going to be where there's going to be a couple of the employees are going to be, we have this is centrally located, and we're going to have an optimal view. As Bill had mentioned earlier, with the two existing facilities that they have, the sight lines for viewing the patients, clients, residents, however you want to call them, they're not very well. The sight lines are not very well. So with having the V shape, if you are in the general office area right here, these are basically all windows surrounding the two sides here. And if you're standing in here, you can have a direct sight line coming down wing A, and then you also have a direct sight line coming down wing B. Now, right in front of the office here, we basically have a shared common space. One side could be a recreational area, pool table could be there, foosball table, stuff like that. And on the left side here, that is going to be more of the living space. You're going to have a couple-hour TV there. You're going to have a couch, some chairs, so that people can be relaxing and for what they need to do. Basically, in the center, we have a full-size kitchen that's going to have a couple tables in the front, a snack bar. We have a pantry that the food will be all placed in there. We have a large-size stove. Basically, this whole facility will be sprinkled, and we'll also have a general generator on site for any times that is needed. We're coming down here into the lower level. Technically, it's called the basement. Like I had mentioned to you before, we have the elevators coming right there. We have some more administrative staff offices that are down here in this bottom left-hand corner. We've got some bathrooms as well. There will be a pantry down here for all the excess food, because this facility could be serving 16 patients, that there's going to be a lot of food that's going to be required, and obviously we can't stick them all on the first floor in the kitchen area. So we're going to have a room down here for all the dry goods. We'll have a couple of freezers down here, might have a freezer or two that's downstairs, and that'll all be basically in the administrative staff offices, away from any client access from there. To get access into the basement, we have two stairwells. One is going to be, they're going to be secure stairwells. One is going to be for the administrative staff offices that are up on the first level coming down. And then we also have another staircase coming down from behind or in front of the garage. Those are our two staircases that we have coming down into the basement here. The remaining of the basement, this area here is a fairly large space, but if you think of your own basement, you've got a water heater down there, you've got a furnace down there, you've got the basic mechanicals that are being down in the basement. In addition to that, which those items will be put off into a corner, this will be another area for the clients can go down there. For exercise equipment, they could go down there if a client wants to have some exercise, try to relax, they can have a space down there for that purpose. Continuing on, this is basically an overhead view of the facility. Like I said, we're looking at the V shape. It's almost, look at this, you've almost kind of got an X shape, but that's kind of how it is. Basically, we kind of looked at more of this as a home look setting. That's not going to be institutional, which will help for the clients and for their well-being. The materials that we have for the facility, we are going to have a land and stone on the part of it, and along the wainscot along the front here. Above here, we're going to have brick, and along the wings, we have a fiber cement siding along the side. Again, these are all durable exterior materials. Fiber cement siding usually has a warranty of about 30 to 40 years. So the facility is going to be pretty much maintenance-free. We're going to have the soffits, and the soffit's going to be aluminum. We'll have asphalt shingles. Asphalt shingles usually last between about 25 to 30 years as well, depending on what type of a shingle that you get. Continuing on, this is more of a ground view, access over from the administrative office side on the left. Another view, basically kind of hitting the garage. Again, because the slide is not really centered on the handouts that you have, you'll have some better pictures, more of the garage that you'll see there. And in the back of the building, we're going to have a covered porch that will have a picnic table, or a couple of picnic tables so that as well, that the clients can go out there and relax out in the outside. Continuing on with project costs. What we're looking at for right now, we're looking at construction expenses. This is going to be basically any site and building related construction. We're looking at $2.7 million. This is based on current market conditions. We also use historical and past projects that are similar in scope. We feel that this is a good conservative estimate for construction. We typically, what we usually do in instances like this, we have a construction contingency for try to catch any unknowns that might be on the site. We usually do that at 7% of the construction cost, which is about $180,000. We have another line item in here. It's typically in the construction term, it's called FF&E, which is basically furnishings, fixtures, and equipment. This is basically owner supplied equipment. This would be freezers, freezers, refrigerators, furniture, anything that's basically not held down, beds, couches, possibly any exercise equipment, tables, that type of thing. Basically, that's what the FF and E is what that stands for. We're looking at something like that for around $600,000. Now, putting this all into a grand total, we're looking at about $3.48 million for the total cost of the project. That is from start to finish, including the furnishings. I also want to note that these costs are estimates based on schematic, on our current level design and engineering. We'll get better estimates as the project continues into construction documents, into bidding documents. Once this project is approved, then we will continue on. We'll provide bid documents. The project will be going out to bid, and then you'll get more refined estimates at that time.
Just going to take a moment here to talk about the project schedule or the anticipated project timeline. So, as all of you are here for tonight, to learn about this facility and this project, the actual county board approval or the vote would be next month, so June of 2018, followed by the process of the detailed design and engineering, and that would also include the approval process. So there's both state and local approval process and permits that would be taking place between July through October of this year, and that would be followed by the bidding and procurement process, basically late fall through the winter months and into the early spring. And when as soon as weather allows in early spring of 2019, so we're projecting April. You never know in Wisconsin. This year we had 2 feet of snow in April, so hopefully we have a good spring. But construction activities would be expected to occur between April and December of 2019, and then owner occupancy would be in December of 2019. So that is the schedule, and I believe that takes us to questions.
Very good. Thank you for that information. We'll open the floor for questions and comments. First is Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually have 5 questions, so I don't know if you want to take these one at a time, but I'll tell you what they are. Number 1, will the residents be able to lock their bedrooms at night? I know that there'll be males and females in the corridors mixed together. Will any or all of the bathrooms be handicapped accessible? Will the lower level be available for tornado shelter? What's your plan for artwork on residents' rooms, walls? When we took the tour last year, the rooms were very plain, and I was told they can't have glass picture frames. And I'm just wondering what your plan is for art in the rooms. And do we own any usable FF and E at the 2 current locations? So whoever wants to take my first question, will the residents be able to lock their bedroom doors at night?
My name is John Sheehan. I'm the supervisor of Toward Tomorrow and Summit House programs. Yes, they'll be able to lock the rooms at night. Second question, I'm sorry.
Bathrooms handicap accessible, any or all?
At least one of the public bathrooms are handicap accessible, and one of the rooms, or is it 2 of the rooms?
Basically, what we have is we have bathrooms that are in the public areas. Let me go back here. Oops, sorry, you got it. Basically, if you're looking at the floor plan view here, these are 2 public bathrooms. Those are going to be handicapped accessible. Each one of the bedrooms will have its own bathroom, but per code, there will only need to be 1 bedroom or 1 client room that will have to have a handicapped accessible bathroom. All the rest of them will have a normal size bathroom. That is one thing that I did forget to mention, is that all the bedrooms, we got 8 and 8 on each wing, all the bedrooms will have their own restroom as well, but only one of them per code needs to have handicapped accessibility.
Okay. Will the lower level be available to be used as a tornado shelter?
Yes, it will.
What's your plan for artwork on residents' walls in their bedrooms?
I have not formed any plans for the artwork yet. We do have some artwork in both facilities that we'll be taking over. We have somebody from Human Services, Nancy Reinier, that's ordered a lot of artwork for our facilities.
Okay.
Probably within the last year and a half, we've had a lot more artwork.
Okay, and finally, do we own any usable FF&E at the 2 current locations?
Yes, we do. We'll be able to use pretty much all of our beds. We won't be able to have any of the appliances, but some desks, yeah, some office equipment, things like that we'll be able to bring over. Certainly some couches and chairs that we'll be able to put in the living room. So we have a good amount, not everything, but.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Powers. Next speaker, Supervisor Gabbard.
I have several questions also, and I don't know if John can answer them or if the Bolt gentleman can answer them. My first question is impervious surface. Since we don't have a breakdown of your construction expenses, in the past we've done some new facility research and we had breakdown. Is it possible we could get a construction expense breakdown from you gentlemen, or is that not, are we not privy to that?
I'll take that one.
And then is the impervious surface issue resolved in those construction expenses? That was my question on that one.
Okay, I'll start with the budget and the cost breakdown. And for simplicity's purposes tonight, we want to just provide kind of a general high-level overview of the construction costs. But yes, we could provide a more detailed cost breakdown of the projected construction costs.
Great.
Secondly, I guess, could you clarify your question on the impervious
Okay,
site
so
or the?
it seems every time we go to do something, like at Parkview, we wanted to put in a parking lot, we had to go through the city fathers to see if we could put more impervious surface up. Now, I understand you're gonna take some paved areas out.
Yeah.
But you're still gonna have a larger impervious surface with this building than those two, say, parking lots are paved. So is there any issue you see that you've not covered in the design with the city coming and saying, oh, guess what? You have too much impervious surface for what's in the area. I don't know how that works with.
So we're working with also at the same time we're working with a civil engineer on this project and we're in working with the city and the county on making sure that we're aware of all the codes and regulations and everything that has been designed thus far would be code compliant and would follow the local regulations. From a standpoint of impervious areas, there are different measures that can be taken if we want to try to increase impervious area, things like porous pavement and things like that could be incorporated if desired.
So we won't get a shock here that you'll come back later and say, guess what? We had to do this, so it added more cost to the project because of the impervious surface. And I understand you got a contingency.
That's correct. Yeah, at this point, no, that's not anything that appears to be an issue.
Okay. My next question is I'm going to call them residents. I think that's just me. Do the residents' rooms have windows? The reason I'm asking this is you have that viewing section in the middle, and you're saying, well, you can see down this corridor and you can see down this corridor. So my question is, what are you seeing down those corridors if the residents are in their rooms?
What we'll be seeing is who's coming and going into what rooms.
Okay. Once they're in the room, you don't see what's going on?
No, we can't see into the rooms
Okay.
when they have their doors closed, but we can monitor traffic, is it people going in rooms they shouldn't be going into, or are they going into rooms of vulnerable people, just be able to.
Okay, thank you. And then meals. Are we cooking in-house in that building? Or, I'm just gonna throw this out and maybe you can tell me why it won't work. Parkview cooks.
Yes.
So I'm wondering about the situation. Is there any way we could do something in coordination with Parkview for
Yes,
meals?
that's already been arranged. We'll buy a lot of food for breakfast and lunch, and the residents will prepare their own breakfasts and lunches, but dinner is going to be prepared by Parkview, and we're just going to have a system where we pick up serve and bring back the dirty dishes the next day.
Okay. My last question, probably nobody's going to like this one, but it seems like you got a lot of admin square footage. And I'm wondering how many admin employees are going to be there, because you've got it downstairs and you've got it upstairs, and I'm just kind of concerned about that. Maybe somebody could answer that for me.
Yeah, I'm Doug Bryan, the Crisis Intervention Manager. What we hope to do is move some of the staff that work after-hour shifts, or maybe work 2 to 10 or 3 to 11, that work out of the main building on Washington Ave, and move those staff over to this facility. So we added that extra space to accommodate all of the staff we want to move to this facility if it gets approved.
Then my caveat to that is, in the beginning, we were thinking of the 2 8-bed units that we have right now. We could probably decrease staff. Do I understand from the way you're speaking about my answer to my question is that we won't be getting rid of any staff?
No, we already have the staff currently in our 220 Washington building. These are staff that do different duties.
Okay.
So we'll move them there to open up space at 220 Washington, and we do expect to decrease staffing by 2 people.
Okay. That answers my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Gabbard. Next speaker, Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 2 basic questions. One is, when we built the jail in Parkview, provision was made to add on in the future. I know you talked at one time about 16 maximum, but is there a provision to add on in the future in this?
I'm glad you asked. 16 beds is the largest allowable number of beds by Medicaid and other federal standards. So the short answer is this is the maximum capability of this facility. I feel very confident that these 16 beds will serve us very well for decades to come. If we were to have a large increase in need for serving residents, we would have to consider a totally different facility, maybe going back to renting another 8 beds or whatever. I don't anticipate that happening. So the answer to the question is we can never add on to this facility's size. So what we build, if you agree to build, this is the size of the facility, and it won't get any larger than that.
Okay. The second question is, when we were building the jail in Parkview, there was a discussion about building pods rather than long hallways for the safety of the residents, the efficiency of the staff. So why do you have this model, which is, in my view, is an old model compared to the new way of doing things?
We did go, my answer to that is we did go and view other county facilities and other hospitals and tried to find the best ideas for keeping best visual eyes on space. And the recommendation that we heard and also that we saw was to have the ability to see as much space as we could with just one staff. So if you go back to the slide that we had, if you stood right in the middle of the premises, you could literally just, turn all the way around and you would be able to see just about every space that residents would occupy. We believe that to be state-of-the-art, not old style, and that's why we encouraged our architects to consider building in that.
If I'm saying in the middle, how can I possibly see the end room there? How can I possibly see?
You can see
it?
all the way down to the end
See
of
the
the
hallway, but I
hallway
can't see the
where
room.
there would be exit doors, so we want to be able to see the motion of a residence all the way down the hallway. So for instance, if they were congregating toward the end of that hallway, we'd still have visual sight on them. We would be able to have cameras outside the building, but we are prohibited by state and federal law from having cameras inside the building. So as much as we can visually see of the residents, the better. We also, even though residents can lock their rooms, obviously we would have the ability, if we needed to, an emergency, to go in and make sure that they're doing okay. But we can't literally have any kind of video cameras inside the building. So we need good visual sight lines.
Thank you, Supervisor Wingren. Next speaker is Supervisor Fari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, obviously, this building will require stormwater retention. She was referring to impervious surface, but you're going to have to dig a pond, gentlemen. Where are you going to put it? How much is it going to cost?
All right.
basically, with the civil engineer that we have for this project, what they have told us that there will be a biofilter area that we're assuming that we're going to be putting on the right side of the facility. This is basically going to be almost a depression in the earth, about a couple of feet deep. That's what we were told that we would be needing. Now, there is an existing storm line. Unfortunately, this will not show it, but there is an existing storm line that is coming right down here. That's where there's a catch basin, and it's coming down alongside, kind of on a diagonal going towards Butler Avenue. And that's where the additional, after the biofilter or little pond, however you want to call it, where when the water's done with there, then it's going to go down into the storm sewer and be taken care of that way. That is according to the civil engineers that we have for the project. They have taken a look at this. They already know what the site's going to be looking like. And the amount of impervious, as she had mentioned, the amount of impervious area that we have on the site.
How many square feet is the building?
The building itself is about 11,000 square feet.
And the parking lot?
I did not take it of the parking lot, but just by assuming by what's there, I'd say the parking lot is about another 11,000 square feet.
So you got about 22,000 square feet?
Yep.
And you have an engineer that's telling you that little pond is going to be adequate?
He didn't give us a size of a pond. He just basically, I'm just kind of representing an area that this is where the pond would be.
Have you referred this matter to the city of Oshkosh?
At this time, we have not done anything like that. We have not taken the next step. We're waiting basically for the approval of this board in order before we take that, go further with this
In order
project.
to help me reach that decision, could we have an estimated cost of the retention and detention to add on to this? Because I suspect you're looking at a lot of money.
I can check with our civil engineers and see what they have.
Could you check with the city of Oshkosh to see what they require?
I'll have them do that, because obviously we're not the experts in the civil engineering part of it. So I will talk to our civil engineers, and I'll have them make sure that they contact the city of Oshkosh regarding that.
That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Farley. Next speaker, Supervisor Wallen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was wondering, what's the average stay for a resident at your facility?
Currently, we have two facilities. Summit House is our shorter-term crisis, and there we talk in terms of days and weeks. Average stay is probably about 9 days, but that's usually, a group of people staying 1 or 2 days, and then more people staying 2 or 3 weeks. So it's the mean is probably more like 7 days, but on average, probably 9 days.
Okay. I have worked in mental health, so I know that with that, there does come property damage. Do you guys have any, furniture that's going to be destructive-proof, or, something that's going to help prevent property damage?
Right. We've been operating these facilities for a long time, and we really haven't had significant property damage. Occasionally, we've had some damage to drywall. Occasionally somebody will throw a phone or a bowl or something, but in years of experience, we really haven't had damage to furniture other than normal wear and tear.
Okay. Who's responsible for the property damage?
That would be us.
Okay.
I mean, we would try to bill them if they had means to pay, but often they don't.
Okay. And then, do you guys have fire-safe rooms? So, in case there was a fire,
Yeah, we'll have a riser, a sprinkler system, so that if there is a fire, automatically they're going to be going off.
Okay.
Thank you, Supervisor Wallen. Next speaker, Supervisor Shorsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question regarding cost per square foot, and my quick and dirty math said about $244 a square foot for construction cost.
Okay.
And how does that compare with the average construction costs for CBRFs in Wisconsin and in the Valley?
We'd have to investigate that, and we could get back,
That
we
would
could
be
get some
good.
figures back
'Cause-
to you. I
And
don't have
by
it on-
code, this is, it's definitely a special need,
Yes.
a facility compared to an older adult traditional CBRF. But there are other CBRFs for this type of population, and I'd be interested
Yeah,
in
we-
knowing
sure.
how this cost compares with what's standard.
Yeah, I don't think we have any of that information at our fingertips right now, but we could certainly
It's out there somewhere.
look into that
If you
and-
could
and
get
provide
that for us, that would be great.
Okay.
That would be help an awful lot. And just one curiosity, one of the issues I think we've had with previous construction that was built to last 50 or 100 years, and I understand the thinking about that, but sometimes it's better if we don't have things that last 50 or 100 years because our needs change. And elementary schools, for instance, is a good example. But so in terms of the construction materials, are you using construction materials with that in mind? Or if we thought about it in terms of a 30-year life, that type of thing, would we use different materials?
Well, I'll take the first part of that, and it's generally speaking the building materials. I'll call the basic building frame and the structure, kind of the superstructure of the building, we'd put a lifespan of 50+ years on that. Now, as far as other building materials, siding, shingles, interior finishes, things like that, those will vary depending on the amount of wear and tear and amount of use and abuse. So, for example, we were talking about some of the exterior materials earlier. The shingles, for example, 25 to 30 years. Exterior siding would be, and I'm going to say it's in that 40+ year range. Things, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's there's a lot of different elements of the building that have different lifespans. So there's a lot of variables that go into it as far as maintenance and upkeep as well.
So, well, that was, and then my question was, if we wanted less life out of the building, would you use different materials, I guess, cheaper materials?
That could be a possibility if that's direction that the county wants to go.
Yeah. Just curious about that. And then also in terms of the cost projections and the payback, then we would have to factor in some of the, okay, when is the roof going to be repaired or replaced and that sort of thing when we're looking at the costs.
Yeah, so when we did the cost analysis, that was again last summer, and it was under our former county finance director, and the direction was at that time to consider the cost of what we currently have and what is our best projection of how will costs go over the next 20 years.
Right.
And given sort of a payback time on the cost of the project, how quickly could we essentially pay that portion off, and then when would we start to see revenues over expenses over if we would continue to simply rent 8-bed facilities, given what we know about market conditions. So, so the rest of what we built in terms of costs, we didn't really factor what would happen after 20 years if we need to replace the roof shingles, or if for some reason some part of the structure need to be updated. That would have to be a new projection, and we were just basing it on what we thought we didn't really want to build something that would be so expensive, maybe last 100 years. We didn't want to go in that direction, nor did we really want to go with something that would hold up for 10 or 15 years and then essentially have to be rebuilt, because then the question is really what's the point over us continuing to try to rent. So that's how we came up with it.
Okay. So is inflation, when you did your projections, do you know if you did inflation on?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, Mr.
built that
Ornstein
right in.
at the time gave us the parameters of rates that would go into those projections.
Great, thank you. Let's see. And then, this is probably a question for you, Dr. Topol, too, is have you considered charitable contributions in the mix, in terms of the opportunity to maybe seek a donor for a major gift in exchange for naming rights? I know Parkview had a lot of success with people donating for furniture and decorations and all that sort of thing.
We hadn't
Is
thought of
that-
it. It's maybe something that we could consider, but it would probably we would have to consider it after the fact, because we wouldn't be able to calculate that into our
Right,
figures
right,
at
but
this
just a
point.
way
But
to
could we,
offset
could we
costs.
ask for donations? Yes, we could do that.
Because usually for major naming, it's half of the construction price.
It's an interesting
Uh-huh,
idea.
uh-huh.
For a
And I
public,
would suspect
for a
that-
public facility, it's very interesting because I've been involved in the public sector for 30 years, and there aren't too many buildings other than Parkview that you mentioned where we would be soliciting private donations.
So,
But we
okay.
could.
And then my other, I guess, question or point is on the format for the financial information we get, it would be nice to have, the current through 2020 budget projections and, in a format that is a budget format, so we could see, just follow that a little bit easier. This looks like more of a working document, but that would be nice to see, would be the actual budget for the program and then project it out. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Shorsey. Next speaker, Supervisor Ellis.
Thank you, Chairman. I think I got two or three questions that are hooked together here. I see on the two buildings that we are renting right now, I think there's just one garage on just one of the buildings, maybe? And are you using it? And on the one that we are proposing to build, it looks like it could be, I don't know if it's 1,200 square feet or not, but that's usually what the maximum is in a house if you put up is 1,200 square feet, I believe, in most cities. I'm just wondering what need for the garage there would be in that, things like that.
We'll be having 2 vans instead of 1 van. We currently have a 1-car garage at Summit House where we park the Summit van. With the number of consumers we have and the number of places we'll be going, we're going to have 2 vehicles at this place. We currently have a vehicle at each one. Is parked in outside, though.
So presumably that's about 1,200 square feet there?
I think that's right, 1,200 square feet.
Close to it?
Yep, that's correct.
1,000 or so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Ellis. Next speaker, Supervisor Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, I see a lot of good resourceful construction materials being used on the project, the wainscoting, the field stone on the side. Those are materials, to last the lifetime of the building, yet we're using shingles that are going to last 15 to 20 years. Have we done a cost analysis on a metal roof? I understand also the look of the metal roof. A lot of houses are going to metal roofs. Smart money, being resourceful use of the taxpayer dollars. It would seem to me that putting a metal roof on this building would be a better use of the taxpayer dollars, not to have to come back in 15 to 20 years to replace the roof. Who knows what the cost of construction, the cost of materials at that time. Has that cost analysis been done?
That cost analysis, no, we have not done that, have not worked on that at all at this time. What we could look at is if you're looking at a steel roof, there's actually 2 types. One is going to be called the standing seam metal panel that you see in a lot of barns and stuff like that, a lot of commercial facilities. We can also look at another product that's going to be called a metal shingle. That also has a long lifespan as well. Yes, you are correct with doing an asphalt shingle that is more, it has to be replaced in 25 to 30 years. That is something that we can definitely look into. With the design of the facility itself, from what we are going from Bill, is that he wanted more of a homey type look, and that's why we are going with the asphalt shingle.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Buck. On the board, it says next speaker, Supervisor Singstock, but I believe Supervisor Konecki, you fell off the board. You have a comment or question, Supervisor Konecki?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apparently I was sleeping. The basement, can somebody tell me again what that's going to be used for? Is it a rec area or storage or what?
Yes, we'll have all the mechanicals down there. We'll have some more offices down there. We're going to have storage for cleaning supplies, chemicals, separate pantry for additional food. We're hoping to have an exercise area down there. and perhaps like a little living room area squared off, and again, just more staff offices.
Okay, is an elevator out of the question?
I'm sorry?
Is an elevator to the basement out of the question?
No, it's required, actually, if there's going to be.
Yeah, with the size of the basement that we have down there, it's over 3,000 square feet, so it's going to be required to have an elevator.
Oh, and I didn't see it on the diagram, or I missed it. That's a window.
Yep, right here, this is the elevator right there.
That's what, I thought that might be it, but,
Yep.
okay. The other question is, the upper floor, by the way, there's no flat roofs, right? Good. No flat roofs?
No, we have no flat roofs. We
Good.
have no flat roofs. Right now, it is shingles, and as the gentleman over in the back row, he mentioned maybe looking at doing a metal type roof. But we're not doing flat.
Okay, I don't care what product I use, but I don't like flat roofs. Also, the upstairs shared commons area look a little small.
Can you repeat that again? The width of the
Commons
hallways?
on the main floor,
Oh,
shared.
well, you're talking like these areas
Well,
right here.
Are you gonna use the whole area there, or just that little pencil out area?
Yep, basically, yeah, with that, the areas are fairly decent size there, about 20 by 20 or plus. For the residents that we're having here, between if we consider this a living area, and if we consider this a recreation area, again, this is gonna be the kitchen area. So we have quite a few space, and we've also got this space down here that's can also be considered as patients' resident area as well.
Good answer then. I'm satisfied then.
Okay, yeah,
Thank
as far as the square footage of the whole area, that I'm not sure on, I did not figure that out.
I thought there was a hallways there, but there are not. There are more than hallways. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Konetsky. I also do not like flat roofs. I've had a couple unfortunate experiences with them personally. Next speaker is Supervisor Sinstock, and then Supervisor Lenz. Supervisor
Thank you,
Sinstock?
Mr. Chairman. This 7% contingent fee, is that pretty standard? Or is it based on a type of project?
That number can vary depending on the type of project, if it's new construction versus existing remodel. I would say that number can vary anywhere from, I've seen that number anywhere from 0 to 10%. So we want, at this point in the project where we're relatively early in the design phase, we typically want to have that number up a little bit higher, that percentage up a little bit higher to account for some unknowns at this point. We don't have all the answers. We're relatively early in the schematic design phase, so as we start to get more of the detailed design and engineering determined, that number potentially goes down. It's a level of comfort. It's basically an insurance policy during the project that there's some money set aside if some unknowns come up during the project.
Thank you. The $600,000 figure, I think should be broken down. Not real fine, but a lot smaller. I mean, $600,000 to me seems like a very, very ridiculous number. And
Sure.
if you break it down, maybe by rooms or something, so that once they do start filling the rooms in, actually, we got a standard to compare against.
Sure. And it's, at this point, for this type of a project, 7% is I would say a relatively common number to use at this point in a project. Again, it's, as time goes on and the county feels that number, you want to lower that number, you can. And if it's not spent, then, or if it's not needed, then it doesn't get spent.
Well, I still think that $600,000 should be detail given to us.
Yes, we'll give you detail on the FF&E. Also, I think you heard earlier, John said that a lot of our living furnishings, room furnishings may be able to be taken with us, as well as anything that we have from our staff offices. We rent both facilities right now. We don't have any of the appliances, so we will have to have a complete set of appliances. We're going to have laundry facilities. We're going to have freezers. We're going to have some equipment, and I know that that was part of the figure that went into 600,000. But we'll break it down for you, Harold, and we'll give you the detail of like the categories of things that we feel that we might need to replace.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and I thank you, Bill. But
Sure.
the reason I'm raising that issue is when we relocated our departments, all of a sudden some departments come up, oh, I gotta have this type of furniture. So I want something to compare against as a standard.
If we can salvage, if we
No,
have
I
good,
know,
if
that's
we
what
have
the
good
gentleman
beds
said.
and good desks and chairs, and we're going to take them with us. And if we have some that are just beyond repair, we're going to need to replace.
But sometimes, Bill, what happens is when you got a beautiful new building like this, some people don't like to put old furniture in it.
Right.
But-
No, we're going to use as much as we can of our
No,
existing
I thank you on
furniture.
that. Now the other question, though, that's the cost of removing the trees, the cost of any landscaping, the cost of this fancy looking driveway, is that all in that $3.5 million?
I'll let our designers tell us.
Yes, at this point, everything that we have identified in that $2.7 million number includes the site and the building.
So all the landscaping is in that $3.5 million?
Yes.
The driveway, and maybe, like they said, a retention pond, and removing the trees and building this big driveway?
At this point in the design, yes. And I'll just add too, I think I maybe misunderstood your previous question about the contingency versus the FF&E.
No, I just want to know if it was
So-
a standard number.
Yep.
Because sometimes we hear a higher number, so that's all
Okay.
I want to know on that. I'm not questioning the 7% number.
Okay. I think I
But my
misunderstood.
main concern is that $600,000.
Okay, the FF&E number.
And whether the landscaping cost,
Yep.
everything, to put in the driveway and doing the removing trees and whatever that has to be done, that's in the
Yep.
$3.5
Site-
million.
Site work, all the site work and building construction costs are factored into that $2.7 million number.
The road and everything, I mean, the driveway and everything.
Driveways, correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Singstad. Next speaker is Supervisor Lenz.
Yeah, I also would like to hear more about the metal roof and how that affects the long-term maintenance. But one of the questions I have, and perhaps the technology is not there yet, but have we looked into bringing solar panels in to keep costs down in the long run, or is it just not, for that size building, feasible?
At this part of the design phase, no, we have not looked at doing anything with solar. That is something that we could look into to see once if there's anything with Alliant Energy, that they have any rebates out on using solar on this project. At this time, no, we have not looked at that yet, because that is obviously an additional expense that's over and above for the normal cost of the project itself.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Lenz. Next speaker, Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is for Dr. Topple. How many consumers does Winnebago County pay for who reside in CBRFs in Winnebago County?
In just the two facilities that we're talking about, or
No,
in total?
we have consumers in Winnebago County that have needs to
Right.
live in a CBRF.
Right.
My question is, how many residents is Winnebago County paying for that live in CBRFs?
Well, in our two 8-bed facilities, if they're both full, that would be a total of 16. We also have, I don't know if either of these gentlemen have it, but I could get it for you, Mr. Eisen. I think we do have another group of individuals who have individual residences in CBRFs that we pay for either in whole or in part under our requirements from the state. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to ballpark for you. I would say total less than 25 individuals, but I can get you an accurate number by next week.
Okay, and what would you estimate the rent that Winnebago County pays for residents in CBRFs?
Well, I can give you the rent totals I have the sheet here.
Well, not necessarily, not including.
You want it per person?
Huh?
Do you want it as per person, or do you want the total?
Well, no,
rent?
you know, what is it, without the 16, because we're replacing 16 beds. So we're not going to be renting those beds anymore.
Right.
But we still have consumers that, that we pay for rent.
Well,
in
our
CBRF.
building rental for both Towards Tomorrow and Summit House in 2018 will be $72,000. And it will continue to go up. If you look at the sheet, I'm looking at the second row where it says costs, and under costs, the second item is called building rent, and in parentheses, it's got TT and Summit. And if you look at it for 2018, it's $72,000, and then we estimate how much the rent will go up
Well,
over
then,
the course of 20 years.
other than Summit and Tomorrow, there aren't any other CBRFs that we're paying for consumers.
No, we are paying for, as I said, there's a few more residents that are individually in CBRFs that aren't owned by us, that we pay either in whole or in part, and I would have to get the breakdown for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Eisen. Next speaker, Supervisor Brun.
I'm going to back up the bus a little bit. I'm kind of curious about how we actually get residents in here. This isn't the police bringing in emergency commitments, and yet it's a short-term home.
Right.
Could you explain really what the purpose of this residence is? I mean, we're talking about
Sure.
cost and everything.
The big purpose
know what it's
is an
really for.
alternative to sending everyone who has a mental health crisis to the hospital and having them necessarily stay at a hospital bed overnight. There are a lot of people in mental health crisis who are not to the level of wanting to kill themselves, but may be disoriented, may be having very active symptoms of mental illness that need to be monitored. They need to be watched overnight, and maybe their families can't watch them. Maybe they've come into contact with the police, but the police, in determination with Doug and his staff, they determine in the middle of the night whether a person either has to go to the hospital or could potentially be diverted to a facility like ours. So, and we've been doing this for 20 years in consultation, often with the police, sometimes with just family members. These are folks that will voluntarily decide to go to our facility rather than be taken to the hospital, and then we watch them. We provide mental health support services. If they need medication follow-up, we can transport them and help them get that over the course of the next couple of days. It's stabilization. The whole purpose of this is to stabilize somebody in a mental health crisis who, by us doing that, we're saving hospital bed days that don't need or require that level of care. Is that sufficient explanation, or?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I also wanted to ask, so in the garage situation, that isn't for the police squad cars that pull in there and
No,
come out with
if Roger had talked about having a carport on the left side,
Right.
and so let's say the police did decide to bring them, then they can pull up under the carport, or if a family member brings them and they can pull into the carport, and then they can be brought into our administrative office space. The nice part of that is that they don't have to have any contact with residents at that point. We can determine what their needs are, and if we don't meet their needs, they can be transported, elsewhere. And if they are appropriate for our facility, we can work with them before they even get introduced onto the area where the other residents are. So we designed it in particular to have that kind of flow.
And the security thing is because they can walk away if they want, versus like at Thea Clark or Mercy.
Right.
They walk away, the police are called
Right.
to come
If-
look
if-
for them,
Yeah,
correct?
the hospitals for psychiatric purposes are all locked in the state of Wisconsin, so a person can't walk out the door. It's impossible. In our facility, it's a voluntary facility, they could potentially walk out the door, but saying that, my staff will know instantly that they are leaving. We will be able to walk beside them, we'll be able to talk with them about how they're feeling, and hopefully convince them to come back to our facility and work with us. If they are persisting and say, let's say they had a change of heart, and all of a sudden they're deciding that they want to take their life, we can then call the police and we can have them escorted to the regular hospital, if that's what needs to happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Brun. Next speaker, Supervisor Defferning.
One quick question. It just occurred to me when you were talking about this. One of the things that the problems that the sheriffs at the jail were talking about yesterday in the tour is that sometimes we get some people that that are mentally deficient and they wind up abusing someone because of their symptoms, and then they get thrown into the jail, which is not really a suitable environment for them. And it turns into kind of a hot potato, putting this person into a hospital versus the jail. And if one of the people that is, checked into this facility winds up abusing some of the staff, would it be up to you to have that person remain there, or would that then become a police issue and then be put into the county jail?
We do our best to try to not make it a police issue. We try to work with residents. If it's not something where my staff are eminently feeling that they're going to be continuing to be at risk, let's say a patient loses their patience and throws it, like John made the example earlier about throwing a bowl, or maybe they're angry and they didn't hit someone but they punched the wall. Those would be examples where if we could work with them and they could calm down, we wouldn't be bringing that to the level of police contact at all. And I would say that between ourselves and the city of Oshkosh and the county sheriffs, we have very good working relationships. Doug and his crew are constantly working with officers daily and at night. We have an embedded mental health worker at the jail kind of doing discharge planning right now with some of the folks that are coming out. So I think we have some pretty good programming for folks to not have what you're suggesting happen. We don't want to make every altercation into something where a person who's mentally ill and has just lost their temper become a criminal.
That's certainly my concern, because I don't want to see somebody who is, in a jail cell that doesn't belong in a jail cell and be in an environment that could exacerbate their problem,
right?
Exacerbate the situation.
Right.
Thank you, Supervisor Defferning. Next speaker, Supervisor Bender.
I just have a couple questions. I don't see any green space in the parking lot, and I know the city of Oshkosh requires green space in the parking lot. So how do you plan on addressing that? You're going to take away parking stalls, take away grass? I mean, somewhere you got to get some green space in here.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that once we get to the next phase. Unfortunately, my computer is just shut down. Apologize for that. But obviously, I'll try to hold this up here a little bit. I'll talk kind of loud because that's what I usually do. We're hoping that there's going to be enough green space around it. We've only got 12 stalls, as I had mentioned earlier. So we're hoping that that's enough stalls that we would not be requiring any parking islands. But obviously, yes, if the city of Oshkosh, if that's what they're going to be requiring, then we'll have to modify the site plan a little bit to accommodate the landscape island.
And I'll just add too, we're in the early stages, kind of the schematic level design, where we haven't gotten into that level of detail yet, but we will as the project goes along.
And one other question, like you said, the landscape's included, but I see no decorative stone and no edging around the building. Is that just
again
missed in there, or is that?
No, we have an allowance right now planned for a landscape budget, and not knowing all the specifics yet. We're in the first stages of the design process. We go from a schematic design into a design development phase, into a detailed design, into construction documents, ultimately into bidding documents. So at this point, we're kind of at that early front end point, and we have an allowance for this size of facility for landscaping budget.
And then the current price that you have, is that for the lowest bid price you figure, or is it actually for good value?
No, it's we have conservative, healthy numbers that we're confident that these are conservative, healthy numbers with the estimate.
We have a tendency, we build buildings at Parkview, the call center lasted maybe 5 years. We need windows at the sheriff's department in 20 years. I guess
Sure.
if we build this, I'd like to see a building that the windows are gonna last, 25 or 30 years. And, that we're not just gonna basically buy the cheapest thing that we can get to say, well, we can build this building for $2.7 million, and in 5 years, we're basically sticking more money in it. So like when they do actually spec it out, to be a good quality product that's gonna last 25 years would be nice.
Okay, well, appreciate those comments. And yes, this would not be this would be planned as a good quality facility, not something that's going to be falling apart in a few years and of low quality. It's not going to be the Taj Mahal, but it's going to be something that we will work with the design team to provide I'll call it a well-balanced design of reasonable level of quality that's not gonna fall apart on you.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Supervisor Binder. Next speaker, Supervisor Lautenschlager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a final few comments here. Gentlemen, I think you designed a wonderful building. And besides the building, I think you picked the excellent site for it. I mean, the group home that you picked, has the most benefits. It's 11 benefits is very good. The site on Butler Ave just makes sense. It's a quiet road, country setting, family setting. This facility's not going to have a fence around it or whatever, so we want these residents to feel like they're at home. Not on a busy street. The only time that Butler Avenue probably gets busy is 3 times a day for about 10 minutes, and that's in between shifts at Parkview, that the Parkview residents use back and forth in between shifts. It's a nice site because it's set back. I worked at Winnebago for 34 years, and a lot of times people in Oshkosh never knew where Winnebago Mental Health was because it's set back. Unless you really had business there, you never knew it was there. It's going to be basically the same thing with this thing, with this facility. Unless people really have business at this group home, they're not really going to know that this group home is really ever there. The design of the building, I think, is perfect because working at Winnebago, most of the buildings out there are situated where you have a central location and you can see sight lines down both hallways. And when you're working with patients in crisis, mental health crisis, and especially with suicidal tendencies, that's very important. You need to look at all the corners. You can't have corners in there. And I think you guys did a wonderful job at that. I just think it's a wonderful design that you did, and I thank you.
I appreciate those comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Lautenschlager, for your comments. Seeing no other call-ins, we'll go ahead and close that portion of the presentation session. Just wanted to thank you all again for the information, presentation, and for answering all the questions. Thank you. Okay, so that completes our presentations for tonight. So just before we go ahead to zoning reports and ordinances, just a reminder that this topic will be in resolution form on the next county board agenda for June 19th. Okay? So moving on down to the zoning reports and ordinances. If you recall, we did amend the agenda, so item number 33 is first on the agenda. So if you also notice on your desk, you should have a corrected version. So item number 3 is resolution 033-052018, recognize Butamore as the honorary county seat of government for the purpose of conducting the business of government on August 11th, 2018. I'll call on Supervisor Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would ask permission to read this in its entirety. There's some important historical information that maybe people who might be watching us on television might need or like. So be
Please do
assured
so.
that we're not going to stage a coup here or something. So the resolution is recognize Butamore as the honorary county seat of government for the purpose of conducting the business of government on August 11th, 2018. To the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors, whereas on April 1st, 1843, the territorial legislature of Wisconsin determined by act of the legislature that the towns of Butamore and Winnebago would thereafter be known as Winnebago County. And whereas in 1845, the legislature passed an act requiring the election of 3 commissioners for the purpose of determining the location of the county seat for Winnebago County, and whereas an election was held on the first Tuesday in April, 1845, for such purpose, and Robert Greeno, Harrison Reed, and Clark Dickinson were elected commissioners for the purpose of locating the county seat for Winnebago County, and whereas on July 16th, 1845, the commission met and voted to locate the county seat for Winnebago County in Butamore, with buildings of government to be located on 2.5 acres of land donated by Augustin Greeno. Commissioners Reed and Greeno voted in favor, and Commissioner Dickinson voted against. And whereas the village of Butamore is the proper location for the county seat of Winnebago County, as determined by said commission, and should be located in Section 24, Township 19 North, Range 15 East, in Winnebago County, Wisconsin. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors that, in and for the county of Winnebago, Wisconsin, Butamore shall be the honorary seat of government for the purpose of conducting the business of government on Saturday, August 11th, 2018. And I ask for your support and adoption of Resolution 03305-2018.
There's a motion. Was there a second? Motion and a second. Thank you, Supervisor Snyder. Next speaker is Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is somewhat rebellious, actually. And we have line 18, which is very troublesome. Whereas the village of Butamore is the proper location. So after we just spent how many millions to renovate this courthouse, are you going to suggest a logical follow-up? We abandon this facility, move to Butamore because it is the proper location? Outrageous. How would you possibly defend that action, sir? I don't mean to address him, but I guess I do mean to address him.
Thank you, Supervisor Supervisor Wingren. Anyone else who wishes to speak? All right. And we'll try a voice vote on this. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, just a question for the body. I know it's a little after 2 hours. Does the body feel we need to take a short recess or to keep going? All right, I see folks saying keep going, so we're going to go ahead and keep going. All right, I'll tell you what. So is there a motion to recess, and we'll do a vote? So there's a motion and a second to recess. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. We are going to go ahead and recess for 5 minutes. Thank you.
The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Winnebago County Board is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming...
Cookie Day, as I understand, and then as well as Supervisor Powers for the cookies as well. It's her birthday, so happy birthday, Supervisor Powers. All right, so moving on to the zoning reports. First one is report number 001, and Portras Incorporated, Town of Amro. I'll call on Supervisor Ellis. Is there a motion for approval of report number 001? There's a motion. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, a mandatory ordinance number 0501218. Supervisor Ellis? A motion. Motion and a second to approve a mandatory ordinance number 0501218. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to report number 002, Charles Lind, Town of Black Wolf. I will call on Supervisor Keller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of report number 2.
There's a motion and a second to approve report number 2. Any discussion? And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to amendment ordinance number 05022018. Supervisor Keller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for a mandatory ordinance 05022018.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion in regards to a mandatory ordinance number 05022018? And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving now to resolutions and ordinances, starting with resolution number 022-052018. Commendation for Connie Olson. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for resolution 022-05-2018. Second.
A Motion and a second. Supervisor Rasmussen, please go ahead.
Wilson started work for Winnebago County in August 1981 and retired on May 1, 2018, following over 36 years of service. Her first job was as a personnel clerk at Parkview Health Center. She also worked in the finance department, in economic support, as a social service aide, and finally as an administrative associate 3 in the Human Services Department Administration Division. Connie brought her knowledge, dependability, dedication, and patience to every position she held. She was a wonderful co-worker and served as a vital resource to those who came to the county for assistance. Connie Olson will be missed by those she worked with, but we wish her the best in her retirement.
Thank you, Supervisor Rasmussen. There was a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next resolution, resolution number 023-052018, commendation for Sue Kosup. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for Resolution 023-05-2018.
There's a motion and a second. Please go ahead, Supervisor Rasmussen.
Sue Kosup was hired as a temporary key puncher for the zoning office in August 1974. A year later, she became a regular employee as a clerk stenographer for the sheriff's office. In 1989, she moved to the clerk of court's office, where she remained until her retirement on May 1, 2018. Sue was known for providing excellent customer service. She worked well with the public, attorneys, district attorneys' staff, and law enforcement agencies. She was dependable and a team player, and became known as the go-to person for locating missing files. Although she worked primarily in the criminal traffic division, she also helped to train many new employees. At the time of her retirement, Sue was one of the longest-serving employees in Winnebago County, with almost 43 years of service as a regular employee. Please join me in thanking her for her efforts.
Thank you, Supervisor Rasmussen. So there was a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So moving on down to the next resolution, resolution number 024-052018, commendation for Kathy Flens. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for Resolution 024-05-2018.
There's a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Please go ahead, Supervisor Rasmussen.
Kathy Flens became a nurse aide at Parkview Health Center in April 1983. She obtained her nursing license and started working as an LPN in 1999. Kathy was consistently friendly, courteous, and professional toward residents as well as staff. She worked the demanding night shift schedule for most of her career and was always reliable. She worked hard to provide the care that residents needed and had the ability to remain calm in times of high stress. She tried to make things interesting and fun for the residents. Kathy retired early this month after 35 years of caring service. Please join me in wishing her the best in her retirement.
Thank you, Supervisor Rasmussen. There was a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next resolution, resolution number 025-052018, disallow claim of advanced disposal truck. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for Resolution 025-05-2018.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then we'll do it by voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next resolution, resolution number 026-052018. Renew the 5-year Alert Sense contract between Alert Sense, formerly known as My State USA, and Winnebago County to allow Winnebago County and first responders to continue to notify citizens of emergency situations. Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of Resolution 26-5-2018.
There's a motion and a second.
This is a routine renewal of a 5-year contract.
Thank you, Supervisor Wingren. Any discussion? Then we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next resolution. Actually, an ordinance. Ordinance number 027-052018, 052018. Amend section 11-11 of the General Code of Winnebago County, amended Appendix A, Winnebago County Public Health Department Permit Fee Schedule. I'll call on Supervisor Youngquist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of Ordinance 027052018.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Supervisor Fari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Each year, we address this permit fee concern, and each year I raise the issue about charging a fee to the churches who put on fish lunches and that kind of stuff. Now, I've been told before the meeting that that fee is no longer going to be charged. However, I do not read that in the document. Can somebody respond to that?
I can clarify that, and certainly Director Guerin's in the back if it needs further clarification. My understanding is by state law, if it's the under 3 days, then there is no cost. So that's why you actually don't see it on there. But however, if you see it more than 3 days, that's when you then have the temporary restaurant nonprofit. So you actually don't see a line item for 3 days or under. There is no fee for them by
Could you
state
define that
statute.
3 days in a calendar year period? So if they had a 3-day event once a month, it would be no fee?
I'll call on Director Guerin to answer that question. I do not want to be incorrect on that.
Thank you, Mr.
Director
Chairman.
Guerin?
Yeah, that would be 3 total days in the license year. So they could have a 1-day event and 1 month, another 1-day event another month, and or a 3-day event all at once. But if it's more than 3 total days, they would need a permit.
In a year?
Correct. In a year, in a calendar year, yes. And actually, the licensing period is July 1 to June 30.
Don't most churches and perhaps some other nonprofits have more than 3 events a year?
Some do.
So
Yes.
then the question is, then they're charged a permit fee, and we're suggesting that that fee go up by 4%?
That's correct.
I have concerns about that, as I have in the past. I don't really think we should be, actually, I don't think we should be charging a fee at all to the churches and nonprofits, but certainly if there is one established already and approved by this board, I don't know why we would support increasing it 4%, just putting more of a burden on churches and other nonprofits. I don't really think that's good policy. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Supervisor Fari. Seeing no other speakers, we'll call for a vote, and given Supervisor Fari's comments, we'll do a roll call vote. So all those in favor say vote aye on your pad, and those who vote no, vote nay on your pad. And that motion carries 28-7 with 1 abstention. Moving on to the next resolution. Resolution number 02805, 02805, I apologize, resolution number 029052018. Authorize Wisconsin Public Service Corporation to be granted, I apologize, I was wrong. All right, back up, I'm sorry. Let's try it one more time. Resolution number 028052018. Authorize the Public Health Department to accept grants from 5 separate grant programs for a total of $56,875 and appropriate the funds to program expenses. Supervisor Youngquist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of Resolution 028052018.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next resolution. Resolution number 029052018. Authorize Wisconsin Public Service Corporation to be granted an electric utility easement within the Sunnyview Expo Center Stadium. I'll call on Supervisor Konecki.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of Resolution 029-052018.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? And we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next resolution, which is resolution number 030052018. Authorize Land and Water Conservation Department to accept $10,000 from Ducks Unlimited Incorporated for technical assistance and project construction oversight for Phase 2 of the Lake Poygan Breakwall Project and appropriate the funds to capital outlay expenses. Supervisor Fari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will move for the approval of Resolution 03005-2018.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next resolution, which is resolution number 031-052018. Authorize the Land and Water Conservation Department to accept an additional $6,358 from the 2018 Soil and Water Resource Management Grant of the Joint Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection and the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Supervisor Fari.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of Resolution 031-05-2018.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? And once again, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next resolution, which is resolution number 032-052018. Appropriate an additional $50,000 to UW Fox Valley Science Wing Boiler Project from General Fund Contingency Account. Supervisor Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of Resolution 030052018.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Supervisor Fari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly intend to support this, but is Mr. Elder here yet? Could you explain to us just what is costing an extra 50 grand?
Basically, this job went out for bid, and the contractors came in. The low bid is still roughly $75,000 more than what was appropriated. So the extra $50,000 is for $50,000 from Winnebago County, $50,000 from Outagamie County to cover the additional cost for the bid contractor, and then to give us a little bit of a contingency.
Now, the work was the same. We're replacing, what was it, 2 boilers, or I forget, 3 boilers?
Yes, 2 boilers.
Yeah, so it's the same work. It's just,
right.
Yeah, we underestimated the cost pretty much. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Fari. Supervisor Hogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it says 50% was from Outagamie County. Do we know if Outagamie County approved an additional $50,000 already?
I believe the answer is yes. And confirmation, the answer is yes, they have approved. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing no others, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move past resolution number 033 as we've already addressed it. So moving on to resolution number 034-052018. Request the Wisconsin State Legislature to require an audit of the Veterans Trust Fund detailing the revenues received, all disbursements from the Veterans Trust Fund and the amount of direct benefits paid to veterans for each year since 2014. Supervisor Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I wish to pull this resolution, and I'm going to take it through legislative. There's been conversation both by the Vice Chairman Egan as well as the county exec here. I think you've all got information that is good as surrounding this. I wanted to get it out in front of you for your perusal, and now we'll go through legislative and bring it back to the floor after that.
Thank you, Supervisor Snyder. Given you're the sole sponsor, the motion is in order, so it is withdrawn at this time. So moving on down to resolution number 035052018. Amend the table of organization for the Winnebago County Public Health Department. Supervisor Rasmussen.
Mr. Chairman, I move for resolution number 035052018.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So that concludes our agenda for tonight. Therefore, I will call on Supervisor Roble for a motion to adjourn. Supervisor Roble?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move that we adjourn until Tuesday, June 19th at 6 p.m. for a business meeting.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.